Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas, and welcome to the 1,000 subscriber special. Yeah, I said before that I was going to put this off until I got more questions, but I wanted something ready for the holiday, and episode 5 is still in post-production. Only 3 questioners, so to fill out the time a bit at the end, I'll cover some frequently asked questions as well. So, starting with Crimson Raptors, the answers to my questions from the Road to 1,000 Subs video. What do you enjoy the most from my content? What is your favorite video from my channel? What do you want to see from this channel in the future? Don't worry about writing an essay in response to each. Simple and short works just fine. But I want to write an essay? Lol.
Okay.
1. I enjoy the stop-motion animation style, particularly the way you set up your spaceflight and flight choreography. I try my best to emulate the style Ravenflaw uses for their own stop-motion series, and I'm happy to hear it comes across well, so thanks. 2. This is extremely tough. I hope this answer does not lessen any time, effort, or money that you have put in, but this one is still my favorite, as it has the action I love at the beginning, and then it tugs at my heartstrings and cuteness too, lol. I see. Funny story, when I went to check the video in question the very first time, that same cat came up and got in my face again. So just so you know, she's still up to her old shenanigans.
Later.
You dingus cat. 3. I would love to see an Embers of a Lost War in a single movie form, preferably with vocal talents. I'll volunteer if you'll have me, as opposed to only subtitle. On the road to 1K, so keep up the fantastic work, bro. Well, it always has been something of a pipe dream of mine to redo much of the early series anyway once I got a cleaner vision and better equipment set up for it. In fact, I already have a preliminary script ready for when/if I ever get to do a chance at remaking episode 1. Voice acting though, I mean, I would love to add proper VAs to the series once I can settle on and commit to it. The series as a whole, that is. Because when I started, I didn't think that much about production values or how much effort I was going to put into it in the long run. Heck, I was expecting to have the whole thing done by now so I could move on to a Transformers series, but as it is, I'm still scripting out the next few episodes after 5. And those are the answers to my questions and my responses to his responses to those questions. Let's see what his questions were. First question, do you think you'll be creating more tutorials for your animation process, such as when you made the Beam tutorial video? Or even more storyboard animatics like you did for Embers of a Lost War? For tutorials, I won't say never, because Lord knows I could come up with something else to make a video on at some point, but in general I feel more comfortable pointing anyone who wants to know in the direction of other tutorials such as Raven, the one who I learned the beam trick from in the first place, or Lazy Eyebrow, who has his own stop-motion tutorials for entry-level animators.
Disclaimer, this video only works if you went out and bought yourself a tripod. If you haven't yet bought yourself a tripod, please turn this video off and go watch the first video and reevaluate your life and the decisions that led you to this moment where you're currently tripodless. This message is brought to you by the National Association of Tripod Users.
Just buy a tripod!
As for storyboard animatics, that's also very much up in the air as, well, I don't typically block out my animation to the storyboards. I'm more the type to just try something on the fly, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try something else until it does work. That's not to say that I won't do something like that again eventually, just to get my mind around a certain idea, but we'll see. Second question, I'm curious what kind of story you're writing or thinking for your Transformers series. For example, character, storyline, ongoing miniseries, standalone, etc. As I noted earlier, I was hoping to have moved on to a TF series by now when I started Embers, and I do have some scripts written up for an introductory mini-series that I had in mind. What it was all building up to, though, and this was kind of the key aspect of even wanting to do a stop-motion Transformers series was to rewrite and reanimate Call of the Future, because holy cow, talk about a great concept that just didn't quite work as well as it should have.
The invisible wall seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, even if I never get to do it myself, I would love to at least have a hand in remaking Call of the Future, to at least say I helped in getting that story to reach its true potential. Thank you again for the response, Crimson Raptors. Let's move on to the next one, and this is from Corbin Server Gundam. 1. The Embersverse series and its lore bits, such as the data files and side operations. Glad to hear you enjoy this pet project of mine that is slowly growing out of proportion for what I initially intended. 2. Embersverse Episode 1 or Episode 4. Speaking of growing out of proportion, yeah, this little sub-series is also very much something extra I wanted to do, just to keep doing more animations that weren't part of the main story, while at the same time justifying the presence of some non-UC suits and Gundams in my made-up Gundam setting. 3. Becoming a bigger and more popular stop-motion channel with people that hopefully understand that it takes time to make these things. Well, I mean, that would certainly be ideal. I do hope it's not too disheartening to say this, but, well, for the longest time, and still to this day to a certain extent, this channel and what I do for it is not my primary focus. Not saying that won't change someday. After all, while I like the work I do for my gaming channel, my ideal goal has always been to become an animator and voice actor, and so long as this channel keeps going, I'm going to keep trying, even if it takes years between major releases. Now, on to the questions, or question in this case. There's not a lot of punctuation here, so this is kind of hard to read. I'm just going to say this up front, Corbin. We've seen that in the Embersverse there are a lot of Gen 1 Gundams and mobile suits. Like we have the Gas series mobile suits from C, the original Gundam, and more Gen 1 or Series 1 suits from Double O and Wing on them. But are we ever going to see suits that are a bit more advanced, like perhaps along the lines of Zeta Gundam, or perhaps one of my personal favorite mobile suit, anything along the lines of the High New Gundam? Because I love the suits that you've already used, but seeing those along with your storytelling and stop-motion animation skills would be absolutely amazing. Even if it might take you 3 months to get out, I understand these things take time and I can be patient. Good question! Now, I said before that I had intended for Embers to be a mostly short and simple endeavor that would allow me to move on to a TF series by this point. But even in the beginning, I had sequel ideas because I wanted to make animations of more advanced suits from later in the franchise, such as the High New, like you said. That said, I think you'll be pleased to know that the seeds for that have already been planted. Once again, thanks for the response, Corbin Server Gundam, and now for the last set of questions from Bloodstreak, which I initially read as Blood Steak. I was hungry, give me a break. 1. Stop motion is very good. Thanks, I work hard on it. 2. Gundam and Transformers. Pretty broad response, but alright. 3. Maybe see some customs you've made. Ooh, customs. Well, I'll have to finish them before I can animate them, so yeah, we'll get there eventually. And the questions: do you like Bionicle and Hot Wheels, and maybe do stop motion? Okay, after I got this question, I realized that Bionicle was 20 years old and went to do that Let's Play for the Motunui Online game. Uh-oh. Gotta talk over this one, unfortunately, because I think this music is copyrighted in some way, shape, or form, even though it's heavily fucking compressed. I mean, holy moly, I had not thought about that franchise in such a long time that I was thrown for a genuine loop just to be reminded of it. That said, it's pretty unlikely that I'll be doing any Bionicle animations for a long while, as I had to dig out and dig through my old Lego box just to see if I could piece together all of my old Toa Mata and Nuva set. And I did manage to get a few of them back together, but not everything. As for Hot Wheels, no, not really. 2. Have any pets? If not, what is favorite pet you want to have? I have 3 cats, Gimli, Eowyn, and Ezio. Legolas passed away back in October after struggling with health problems for a good year, and Well, he was never my favorite, but he certainly liked me. Really wish I didn't have to end on a somber note like that, but them's the breaks. Thanks for the questions anyway, Bloodstreak. And let's move on to the frequently asked questions portion of this video. I want steak now, god damn it! Most of these are things that I can't really give an upfront answer in one place for because it always depends on the context. What figures / models did you use for this / where can I get them? I always try to give clear and straight answer about the figures and models that I use when they come up, and part of the reason I include them in the credits for Embers episodes so people can see them for themselves. As for where I get them, that's something I never keep track of, especially if I've had the figure or model for a while. I browse a lot of online stores, and on the rare occasion I'll find some things locally, and that's really all I have to say about that. What music / sound effects do you use and where do I get them? Again, when someone asks about the music, I try to give them a name for the track and hope you can find it yourself. As for the sound effects, well, I've been building my library of sound effects for years and have so many sources I can't possibly begin to name them all, but I will always point in the direction of the Sounds Resource, a veritable library of video game sounds, including sounds from Gundam video games. As for Transformers sounds, I think I got most of my sounds from the TF-Cog back when it was still around. Or, wait, is it still around? I mean, if it is, you can look for Transformer sound effects there, but god, I haven't been there in years and I only just barely remember it even existing at all. What software / hardware do you use to make this? A Logitech webcam, Windows 10 camera app, Vegas 14 Pro, and a buttload of patience. Why don't you edit out the flight stand? Combination of laziness and not really knowing the best way to even do so in the past to a certain point. As I say, I tried to emulate Raven Flaw's animation style, and they often didn't block out the flight stands either, up until, well, more recent videos. And to be frank, I thought their animation flow was so good that the fact that the flight stands were still visible didn't bother me, so I kind of hoped I would get away with that too. And I think that's about all I can address for this video. Again, I want to thank absolutely everyone who chimed in, and especially thank my 1,000 plus subscribers for putting up for my lazy ass, and hopefully you'll stick around as that number grows, and who knows? Maybe we'll be doing a 2K sub special at some point, or even a higher number than that. Sky is the limit, as they say, and I'll keep reaching so long as everyone keeps supporting me. Well, you know, at least until the collapse of society, we're all caught up in a apocalyptic global war and someone drops a colony right on my head. That said, it's pretty unlikely that I'll be doing any Bionicle Admit. Big fall, slinker for slink,